agents, the economic freedom fighters welcomes the outcome of the 2024 general election and believe that, to a greater extent, they represent the will of the people. We, however, note the discrepancies, unprofessional conduct, dysfunctional occurrences, and inconsistent results capturing that have been brought to our attention from different parts of South Africa. We take this opportunity to thank all EFF ground forces for a job well done.
Someone was asking me if I'm going to resign because we performed bad. I won't do that. It's not a penny. I'm here. I'm not going anywhere. Yeah. I'm in charge. I'm in charge. That must be very clear. I'm not going anywhere. I'm not going anywhere in terms of politics. I'm not going anywhere in terms of health. I'm not going anywhere in terms of age. Ours is a generational mission. It's not a popcorn that will just pop and disappear. It's going to stay. We have a staying power. And they do everything in their power to get rid of us. We are not going anywhere. It's corner. And we are in all legislatures, by the way, comfortably.
You know, human beings, we are very selfish. That is one thing I always know. I always remind myself that thing. And when somebody has offered to do you something, they particularly do that thing for two reasons. A good reason and a good reason. A good reason is something good, yeah. That is something that which convinces them to do that. And the real reason is why they have offered it.
If we lose seats, 2-3 seats, and we used to razzmatazz that parliament before we were 44. We were how many? 25. We were razzmatazing it, 25 of us. So even if you take 3 seats, we are not going back to 25. We are still where we were not during that time of 25. So we are not a declining party. The footprint of the EFF is now confirmed that it exists in every municipality in South Africa. It gets its votes in every corner. It gets its vote now, TD, even in the suburbs. If you can go and look at the map of Joburg, you will see the VDs that EFF was taking in Midrand, in Centurion, in Randburg, and very interesting development. That we even beat DA in one of their stronghold. So the black middle class has found home in the EFF. They love the EFF. They vote for it. And they do so unashamedly. Proper progressive black middle class that is not money driven, that doesn't want to benefit from Rothschild, Rupert, Oppenheimer, Richard Branson of Virgin, what. Only blacks who don't benefit from that, the black elite, believes in the EFF, black middle class. So I can tell you now, go and check the votes of EFF in the areas where there are black people. You are going to find votes of the EFF. So, and then an organization like that you say is dying. It's not dying. In any election, there will always be dynamics. And the dynamic now is, there was an emergence of this party. Now we know it. I mean, what President Zuma did to us is what Mashaba did to us in Johannesburg. And then once we became aware, or there is a problem called Mashaba, we went to solve that problem, Shem. It's done. We finished it. You can go around and ask. For sure, he's checking quotations of hair products now. He's going back to do hair. Don't have time. We came here making noise. We reminded him many times, now you behave like you are something. And then the country showed him that is nothing. And the rest of those other people who went to eat people's monies, they received so many millions, so many. They can only brag about one seat and all of that. The biggest loser in this election is the ANC. And we must never try to be clever and shift that to the EFF and want to project the EFF as if it has lost a province or it has lost a country. People lose a country, people lose a province. You want to say the EFF has lost. What? We have won. And Elegas Tokomen, Letlori Kiria, Relegamo di Officin, Jabu Ministara. Jamushu. Now this time on Ariat, I will Arto Emela. Hey, Arto Emma. Little negotiation, Janet Juria di Quamara. Yautena Retsen. Arto Emela or ring it. Uta. We but Banaba barring it. Aba Vutili, ANC, Abanya Gains, Tamai, Barensi, Iba Fimiti, Iba Fee. Zama manskralo chegarba vute jima bajile meitsi awbola batho ba bona ba ba tlhokofala. Go and check when out to tawiti o garu you are principle beyond principle. Ai ra tla bonchana no le stay ne zena ka tla ga bonchana ANC sena go thereje ya ga bonchana lo mongwe because we have to sustain this organization. We accept the result, but it doesn't mean when there's a discrepancy there, you can't raise it. To raise a discrepancy does not mean you are rejecting the results, because that discrepancy may not have material effect. Even if you succeed, it will just give you are added 1,000, you are added 2,000, but it's to teach the IEC also a lesson and principle and expose these shenanigans that there are people who are swapping results from result slip and captured. So it's a principle we need to pursue. But when we looked at those discrepancies, that they are of no material effect. And therefore, you can't say on the basis of that, you reject the result. We accept the result. We accept the defeat. We are unable to congratulate anyone for being elected president, because there's no president now. Yeah. There's no one. Even the one who's the current now, he doesn't know if he's going to be president tomorrow.
And most of the time, you find that when somebody has offered to do something for you, there is some benefit that they get. It can be a spiritual exchange that you're having, because there's a law of giving in spirituality. Now, why am I saying selfishness and all that? Remember, somewhere, some years back, South Africa was involved on some serious xenophobic cases.
In Germiston, east of Johannesburg, most shopkeepers from countries like Ethiopia, Somalia, and other parts of Africa have closed their businesses in anticipation of looting.
As you can see here, the police are protecting properties, businesses, shops that belong to African migrants.
Xenophobia violence seems to be spreading among foreign nationals here.
Yes, it's not something that I'm just speaking out of nowhere. No. South Africa was involved on some very, very serious xenophobic cases where they were chasing out the Africans particularly of Nigeria. And this news made news all over the world. They would attack these shops that belonged to black foreigners, particularly Nigerians, and chase them away. South Africans were on the side of the real reason, or rather the good reason for them, was that these black Nigerians were taking jobs away from them. A Nigerian has left Nigeria to come and take a job from a South African. might not sound right sometimes until you go to the ground and see it for yourself.
They also blame the foreigners for the high crime rate, and their version of justice is meted out pretty quickly.
You see, our brothers from the south, that is a weakness they got.
If they don't go, they will get a piece of this.
That is a weakness they got. It's not easy, and I know I'll be getting backlashes for this, but I'm prepared. Understand? Now, Julius Malema has lost in the elections.
We particularly thank our Youth and Student Mobilization Committee, which sprang into action as Mulungisi Madonsela Battalion and brought the necessary energy and dynamism into our election campaign and programs. The impact of the youth was felt in the 2024 election, and we commend the battalion for a job well done. The 2024 elections were not easy for the EFF, which was fighting not only against the ruling party, but against many puppets of the white racial capitalist establishment existing as political parties and in different media platforms. The 2024 elections were not easy because whatever effort and resources dedicated in the province of KwaZulu-Natal, parts of Gauteng and Mpumalanga were undermined by the commendable and decisive rise of Mkhonto we Sizwe, which performed above the EFF in KZN and Mpumalanga. We nevertheless congratulate and commend the people of South Africa for voting out the ruling party from an absolute parliamentary majority, which was abused since 1994. Over the past 30 years, the ANC had used its parliamentary majority to protect mediocrity and corruption, and to also preclude any form of alternative perspective and thoughts on how our country should be governed. In the recent past, during the EFF's participation in parliament, the ANC misused its parliamentary majority to do the following: distorted and voted against the EFF motion that sought to amend Section 25 of South Africa's Constitution, which would have made it possible to expropriate without compensation and to make the state the legitimate custodian of all of South Africa's land. Voted against the EFF motion, which sought to repeal all colonial and apartheid legislations that are still part of South Africa's legislative body and system. Voted against the EFF motion to conduct a parliamentary inquiry on the conditions and remuneration of mine workers and farm workers in South Africa. Voted against the EFF motion to introduce free quality education for the poor at institutions of Aleni. Voted against a parliamentary motion to investigate the allegation of corruption in Eskom. Voted against a well-investigated and clear report on the criminal activities that took place in Palapala farm of the sitting president Cyril Ramaphosa. Voted for the illegal suspension and expulsion of EFF members of parliament from parliamentary participation, which prevented the EFF from participating in the 2024 State of the Nation address. This and many other anomalies constitute the core of how the former liberation movement misused its parliamentary majority and dismally failed to bring about thoroughgoing economic emancipation to the people of South Africa. In the past 30 years, the EFF dismally failed to use the ANC dismally failed to use the parliamentary majority to bring about legislative changes that will have improved the living conditions of our people. We therefore appropriate that for the first time since 1994, the parliamentary majority of the ANC has been broken, and that from now henceforth, Parliament will take decisions based on logic and sense and not on entitlement of being the sole dominant ruling party. Parliament will now be better positioned as a true representative of our people and not a platform to protect the political elite of the ruling class. Now that the parliamentary majority of the ANC has been broken and there is no single political party that can constitute government on its own, we as the EFF will be engaging with different political parties on how we elect leadership of parliament and constitute a government that will lead South Africa for the next 5 years. We will engage with all political parties with an appreciation that a government should be constituted within the next 14 days, meaning that some of the issues might be resolved after the base agreements have been reached. As previously mandated by the Central Command Team, CCT, after the 2021 local government elections, the EFF negotiations principles are as follows. Appreciation of the EFF 7 non-negotiable cardinal pillars for economic freedom in our lifetime, service delivery commitments with timelines particularly on land, jobs, water, electricity, flushing toilets, and care for the people with disability. Anti-racism, meaning that whatever coalition is an outcome of EFF participation must not reinforce white supremacy and Africanerdom. Anti-imperialism, meaning that whoever we partner with must not be a puppet or representation of the West imperialist agenda and interests in South Africa. Commitment to Africa, common prosperity and development. Publication of all the concrete agreements reached with coalition partners to avoid a perception that they are secret agreements. Constant and honest engagements and reports to the people on the progress made on coalitions. Additionally, our negotiation principle and demands will include the following: amendment of the Constitution to realize land expropriation without compensation in 6 months, creation of state-owned bank, nationalization of the South African Reserve Bank, cancellation of the historical student debt in 12 months, creation of a state pharmaceutical company in 12 months, passing of insourcing bill in 12 months, removal of distem from the national anthem, opening of clinics for 24 hours, 7 days a week, provision of free sanitary towels for all who need them, provision of free water and electricity for all SASSA beneficiaries. We will engage with all political parties that accept our principle and demands as legitimate, and will respect political parties that believe that our demands are irrational and must not be entertained. While we have decided to form part of the government of South Africa from 2024 onward, we are not desperate for positions and will not sacrifice principle on the altar of political convenience. The EFF final list of members of parliament and provincial legislatures will be amended to reflect the work done during elections. Those who did not play any role in the election work of the EFF will not go to parliament or provincial legislature, even if their names appear higher on the list submitted before the elections. The EFF officials who are mandated to be the final list committee will meet during the course of the week to conclude on the final list of those who are going to represent the EFF in national parliament and in different provincial legislatures. We advise all EFF members and leaders to comply with the decision of upper structures. Finally, we once again say thank you to our voters, supporters, and those who pledged financial and non-financial support to our movement. We also convey our gratitude to those who kept us in their prayers so that we all are protected during the election program. Thank you, South Africa. Realeboa Siabonga.
And he's not happy. He's not that Julius Malema we are used to. Humans, when we suffer losses, we kind of regret, we kind of go low, you understand how humans are. And now, The reasons why Julius Malema has lost his vote are the reasons why I'm telling you that humans, sometimes we can be so selfish. One of the reasons why Julius Malema has lost the votes, remember the tenets of his campaign. First of all, he wanted South Africa to become black South African. He was not going to chase away the whites. No, he was not going to do that. Those people have lived there for generations. It's now not easy. But he wanted equality. That's the first thing. Equality from the white people so that there can be a good economic equality between the blacks and the whites of South Africa. Hence the name EFF, Economic Freedom Fighters. You understand? And then the second thing Julius Malema was fighting for was the mode of economy. He wanted something like communism. He wanted socialism. He believed that socialism would ensure that the black person had a place and had a stand in the modern South Africa. That is why he was pushing for communism. Communism, according to him, he wanted communism that there should not be privatization or individualization of industries and sectors. Industries and sectors should belong to the state. That is where industries and sectors should belong. And if industries and sectors belong to the state, it's now its responsibility to ensure that the African, or rather the South African, has or can be able to get the resources. That is the second thing Julius Malema was fighting for. The third thing Julius Malema was fighting for is this. You understand, South Africa and Zimbabwe are very close to one another. And when Julius Malema is always speaking, he is not always speaking for South Africa. Julius Malema is a Pan-Africanist. Remember the welcome he was given in Ghana when he went to Ghana. Remember the welcome he was given in Liberia when he went to Liberia. It's not easy you find a political person with another country and they're welcomed like that. No, it's not easy. You get it? So he was welcomed like this because people view him not only as a nationalist, but as a Pan-Africanist as well. You understand? Julius Malema was a person for the black people. He always fought for the freedom of the black people. We understand the situation that happens between Zimbabwe and South Africa. Zimbabweans would even cross the river to South Africa. They would do anything. But Julius Malema understood the struggle of the black person. He said, no, we should create jobs for these Zimbabwe people who are moving to our country. We should not chase them away. We are brothers and sisters. You understand? But South Africans are not happy about this. South Africans want South Africa to belong to South Africans. That is the problem with our brothers from the South. They want this country to belong to them only. And when somebody else tries to do something there, particularly a black person, they really don't want it. You know, the sad thing is not just... The sad thing is the double standards. They only want South Africa to belong to South Africans when a black person goes there and starts a business. But when a white person goes there and starts a business, South Africans have no problem with this white person. You understand? We have these big industries which belongs to white. Some also belong to black people. But South Africans don't like black people, particularly from Africa. If you're a black American, you may thrive in South Africa. Julius Malema was here to break this filth. He was here to break this filth that is clouding the atmosphere of South Africa. So Julius Malema's third tenet was Pan-Africanism. Just like Kwame Nkrumah was fighting for the unification of Africa, and he was fought by his own people and overthrown. The same thing is happening in South Africa. You understand? South Africans might say he's corrupt, he's this and that, but we have the South African perspective, and then we have the African. Remove that South. We have the African perspective. Malema is somebody who could see a change in Africa. I'm not much into South African politics, but I know with the arguments he was making, with the loudness he had, with the stamina he was preaching, Julius Malema was so much promising. It might be he has lost this time, but he might be he has lost to the South African presidential seat, but he has not lost to the African Pan-Africanism. He is not lost that. He is not lost. Actually, South Africa would have just minimized his capabilities, because being a president would really limit his conversations, his ideas. But now he is an African, Pan-Africanist, and there is nothing South Africans can do about that. You choose who you elect, but sometimes the person who you elect will make you suffer. Kenyans, we are suffering because we chose the wrong person, William Ruto. I personally did not vote for him, but I'm suffering together with those people who voted for him. So there's no difference between me and those people. We are both suffering. We are both suffering the things that Ruto is implementing. It's sad. It's sad. Listening to what Julius Malema was saying and how he was saying it, I felt sorry for the brother. I hope you get value from my videos. And if you do get value from my videos, be sure to subscribe. You don't want to miss on much from Africa and African diaspora. So see you, and kindly subscribe to the channel, like the video, share, support me on Patreon. You can also give me super thanks if you will. Yes. So thank you so much. I totally appreciate it.